A good morning to you. Today is Tuesday, September 17th. This is Wake Up with KERA News. Hi there, I'm Andrew Garcia. Skies are looking to remain sunny across North Texas today, with temperatures peaking in the low 90s. It'll be cool and clear tonight as temperatures drop to the low 70s. They'll be the perfect conditions for looking up and observing the second supermoon of the season, as we slowly say goodbye to summer. And now, today's news. Two Dallas City Council committees are at odds over whether to fully fund Dallas Area Rapid Transit or reduce the agency's funding. The city's Transportation and Infrastructure Committee voted yesterday to include funding DART on its list of legislative priorities, but the Government Performance Committee's legislative agenda calls on the state to restructure how DART is funded. The full City Council will discuss the opposing viewpoints tomorrow. Meanwhile, there have been 160 complaints made to the city over short-term rental properties since last year. The Dallas City Council voted to essentially ban short-term rental operators from large parts of the city last year. Shortly after, though, a judge halted the new ordinance. No word yet on when the court will hear arguments in the city's case. Tarrant County will keep all its early voting sites at colleges after a week-long political battle. The controversy started when Republican County Judge Tim O'Hare questioned why the county uses colleges as polling places. Several college early voting sites ended up on the chopping block. One of them was UT Arlington, whose student population is bigger than some nearby towns. In a vote on Thursday, two Republicans on the Commissioner's Court sided with Democrats to keep every college polling place open. KERA's Miranda Suarez joined Becca Moore to walk us through what happened.
So, Miranda, this all started when commissioners failed to agree on a list of early voting sites. What exactly happened there?
So at the beginning of the month, at a commissioner's court meeting, the county elections administrator brought in a list of early voting sites for commissioners' approval. There were 50 sites on the list, and that included 8 colleges. And during discussion about that list, Republican County Judge Tim O'Hare brought up some problems that he has with voting sites at colleges. One in particular that he brought up was UT Arlington. He said the voting site there is too close to the Arlington sub-courthouse, which is about a mile apart. The elections administrator explained that those two sites are really close together because they're both really busy. O'Hare also said that some college sites are not very accessible. He claimed at one point that TCU, the voting site there, requires parking permits. Again, the county elections administrator explained it does not. You don't need a permit to park at TCU, and there's free parking at all voting sites in Tarrant County. Overall, Judge O'Hare's problem with college sites is that he said it's not the county's job to make sure students vote. It's not the county's job to make it sure that any group of people votes. So by the end, Republicans voted against Democrats to reject the list of early voting sites, sending county elections administration back to the drawing board.
And what did Democrats have to say about it?
Democrats on the commissioner's court were not happy. They called challenges to college voting sites a blatant attempt at voter suppression. They said pretty much the only goal is to make it more inconvenient for young people to vote at these college early voting sites that have existed for years. Commissioner Elisa Simmons represents Arlington, which is, of course, where UT Arlington is. She pointed out that Arlington is the biggest city in America that does not have public transportation. And she pointed out this is a huge problem for UT Arlington students who don't have cars. It creates a barrier to voting. O'Hare said students can walk to the Arlington sub-courthouse. It's not that far, and if they want to vote, they can do that.
The county still needed a list of early voting sites, and commissioners needed to approve it. So how did they finally get that across the finish line?
After the original list was rejected, county election staff came back with 3 new lists of early voting sites. All of them included fewer sites and fewer colleges. Then those new lists were scheduled for a vote on Thursday. That happened to be on a day when Democrats on the commissioner's court were out of town. They said that was intentional to make sure they couldn't participate in the conversation and in the vote. O'Hare later denied that. Before Thursday, Commissioner Simmons's office helped set up this press conference at UTA, opposing any change to the list of college voting sites. We heard from students all across Tarrant County, including Kayla Rabb, who's a grad student at TCU.
Targeting the youth vote is a direct acknowledgement of the fact that we are driving this election. We are hungrier and more determined to have a future and a country that we can believe in.
Finally, when commissioners convened on Thursday to decide on the early voting sites, the Democrats did manage to join over Zoom, and people packed the courtroom to share their opinions. Then it came time for commissioners to vote on the three presented options, and it was a Republican who made the motion to ignore those options and keep every college voting site. That was Commissioner Manny Ramirez. Ramirez wasn't there for the original vote that rejected the list of early voting locations, but on Thursday he said he wants more polling places, not fewer.
These are sites that have been approved for the last decade or more. Ultimately, I didn't understand the need to shift at the last moment.
When it came time to vote, the list passed 4-1, meaning the county will keep all of its early voting sites at colleges, all of the originally proposed early voting sites, and actually plus one more that County Elections Administration was able to pass. O'Hare was the only person on the Commissioner's Court to vote against the list.
That was KERA's Miranda Suarez and Becca Moore. In Major League Sports today, the Texas Rangers are playing at home this evening as they start their series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Late last week, Texas Rangers general manager Chris Young earned a multi-year contract extension and the new title of President of Baseball Operations, keeping him at the helm of his hometown team for the foreseeable future, following last year's World Series victory. Tuesdays might typically be reserved for tacos, but Kenny's East Coast Pizza is celebrating 8 years in business by thanking customers with a free cheese pizza. For more information about how to get yours and for other fun things to do, visit kera.org/calendar. Thanks for listening to Wake Up with KERA News. I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. The show was produced and edited by Shardae White and Becca Moore. For more news in your inbox, visit kera.org/wakeup. That's where you can subscribe to the Wake Up with KERA News newsletter. That's written by our colleague Catherine Hobbs. I think you're going to like it. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at KERATX, and we'll see you tomorrow.